You're listening to Crow's Cast, a podcast by USF St. Petersburg's student newspaper, The Crow's Nest. This week, we will be discussing pop culture.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the pop culture episode of Crow's Cast. I am one of your hosts, the editor-in-chief of the Crow's Nest, Sophie Odjanic, and I'm here with...
Darnell Henderson, creative director.
We are excited to be back and talking about the latest in pop culture news, as well as some upcoming releases. So we can go ahead and start with our usual first segment of what have we been watching and listening to this week. Darnell, do you want to start?
So recently I have been taking a deep dive into St. Vincent because she actually just announced that Daddy's Home, her 7th studio album, will be released on May 14th. So of course I've been revisiting, the classics, Actor, Marry Me. Marry Me John always really gets me, a classic sweet ballad. And also I've been listening to a lot of Machine Girl again. I know I've mentioned her before, but there's something about, him actually, it is a male producer. But there's something truly captivating about loud noises in your ear and unsyncopated rhythms. So,
you know what? I get that.
Those vibes, just like, it matches the mania of daily life. And I see it as a true reality of what we experience.
Yeah, it's like listening to Tom Waits and you're like, God, this sounds like a garbage fire.
Yeah, exactly. And I find comfort in it, surprisingly enough. So, What have you been listening to?
As far as music goes, nothing really, I guess, groundbreaking, but Ronnie Radke, I know, controversial, Ronnie Radke, released, I don't know when this came out, so this might be old news, but he has, with his original band, I don't know the name of, he has The Drug in Me Is You, and he just did a slower version called The Drug in Me Is Reimagined, which is like a real like piano slowed down version, and he's actually got a really like operatic voice in it. And I really enjoy it just because, like, this is going to sound weird, but you can feel, like, the movements in his jaw and how, like, open he's singing.
Interesting. Okay,
yeah, and it just, it feels very intense and cinematic almost in how it's produced, and I've really been enjoying listening to that. And he, like, there's more grit to it than in The Drug in Me Is You. So in The Drug in Me Is You, it's like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but, like, there's, like, a slow, like, rhythm and melody to The Drug in Me Is Reimagined that really lets Radke, like, flex that he went to, like, formal opera training. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Sounds like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, like Hannah Montana.
Exactly what I was getting at.
Yeah. Just like Miley Cyrus, you can go back and listen to Hannah, and now you can listen to Miley.
Perfect.
So what have you been like watching this week? Anything on the TV or in the movie theater?
So I really wanted to go out and see Minari, but I just couldn't, because, timing. But something I can always make time for is the iconic Gossip Girl.
Right, as one does.
So I have just been really enjoying and just soaking up my time with Blair Waldorf and Serena Wooder-Vanson, whatever the hell their stupid last names are.
Yeah, person last names.
Exactly. No, precisely. But the drama in it is just so disgustingly petty. It is, so not... You don't have to, fish for anything because they just, provide it for you. They practically set up, conflict at every single turn because the characters have, no intelligence whatsoever. It is the perfect show to watch after a long day, and it is just meditative, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of unnecessary drama, I've actually gotten back into 90 Day Fiancé, but
Perfect.
not in, watching the show. I've just been watching people react to the show. Because, I remember how dumb Big Ed is or how crazy Anfisa is, but, seeing other people have real-time reactions to how much of, a gold digger this girl is or how much of a bad person Big Ed is just insane. Because it's, people that don't believe that this is actually, how people act. And a lot of the time, too... It's, foreign YouTubers. I watch PewDiePie's, whole thing, because he's Swedish, he lives in England. So he doesn't have, the American perspective, and he's just, he's got such, different views than, a typical 90 Day Fiancé viewer, and it's just really intriguing, to say the least.
A multi-dimensional look at Beyonce.
Right, as one needs, obviously, with their 65 spin-off shows.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Oh, and Paul and Karini, I just want to say, I'm convinced that Paul, in 90 Day Fiancé, the one that's I gotta get out of here, and there's, a montage of him running, I'm convinced he's a murderer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not that that's my journalistic opinion, but that's my personal opinion.
You know what? And that's valid.
Right. All right. So ABC just announced the Oscars Best Picture nominees the other day, and there are quite a few on here, but with the pandemic, it sort of begs the question of how many people actually saw these movies and whether or not we have the true best slate of films that could have come out this past year. Quickly, I will just go ahead and recount. I can't breathe. Quickly,
because I wanted to comment on something you just said, actually. Mm-hmm. So, that is true because we aren't in, the, regular conditions in which movies are usually produced, but I still think it's pretty impressive that during such, a... I want to say burdensome, but in addition to, caged, environment more so, and, the limitations imposed by COVID, I more so am impressed that, we were still able to produce these movies and still produce creative things despite being in this kind of, liminal space. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. We've sort of come to this weird midpoint of where, the movies coming out are, either really insanely well done, or they're oh, this is a drama about a bunch of teeny boppers who are in self-isolation, and the whole thing's been recorded on our cell phones because our budget was $10,000, and we accidentally hired Lucy Hale to be in it. And our budget went to paying her, and we didn't have any money for cameras. So there's rarely an in-between of the quality of movies now. So there's not a smooth, you're either coming to see Wonder Woman 1984 or you're going to see Project X with a low budget.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
So quickly I'll just go through the list of Oscars Best Picture nominees, and I believe this is for the drama category only. So we have The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah. So we have The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. I know a few of these. Judas and the Black Messiah hit theaters in February. I think it was our Valentine's Day release, February 14th. I have seen no showings or news about The Father or Mank. Minari, I think, just came out as well in theaters. I haven't been able to see that yet. Our theater, ours being mine that I work at, CMX Countryside 12, we didn't get Nomadland for very long. I know that stars Frances McDormand. She was in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was a fantastic movie, so I anticipate that Nomadland is good, but it depends on the direction and writing as well. One of these is an Amazon original. I can't remember.
Not one of these. It's not like the other.
Yeah. So next we have Promising Young Woman, and that came out earlier this year.
Was it not on Netflix?
Promising Young Woman?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, maybe I'm confusing.
But that starred Carey Mulligan and Bo Burnham. So congratulations, Bo Burnham. You get to come to the Oscars. But that's actually the only one out of this list that I've actually had a chance to go see as of right now. And I really enjoyed it. I know there were plenty of criticisms for the film, specifically in its ending, but I think with how the characters were written, everything that transpired sort of made sense. There were issues in the ending for me in that it was sort of... It's one of those movies that assumes that everybody on Earth is a bad person.
Okay.
In the way that, at the end of Wonder Woman, Pedro Pascal, Maxwell Lord says, everybody gets a wish, and immediately everybody's like, I wish for more guns, I wish you died, instead of someone saying, I wish for world peace. And so Promising Young Woman sort of did the same thing, where it assumed the worst in people and that there's no character development from age 18 to age 30, which I think was wrong, but yeah. And it also assumed, I won't get into the ending. I think people should watch Promising Young Woman,
Yeah.
And form opinions for themselves. I will say, for our viewers, that I will offer a trigger warning on that, for not depicted sexual misconduct, but you do hear some of it, and it's talked about as a central point of the movie. And then our last one is The Trial of the Chicago 7, which is a Netflix original, from what I understand, and that has a pretty big cast as 7 people, but I believe Sacha Baron Cohen is in that, so he's been on fire this year. All right. So out of those, I think if we wanted to make a prediction on Best Picture, I feel like we're going to go Chicago 7 or Judas and the Black Messiah.
Okay.
And I don't know... Just because I haven't seen any advertising for The Father or Mank, and usually Best Picture goes to a better-known movie, but not one that everybody saw.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I would like to see Promising Young Woman take it, but I think there are flaws in the film that would sort of draw it down a little bit.
Right.
And for, no offense to Bo Burnham, but he's a comedian, and so I feel like the Academy and all of its prestige is going to say, the co-lead in this film is a Vine star.
Right.
Why should he get the...
highest award?
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts out of that list?
I kind of want to see, just because I'm a huge advocate of A24, Minari, and though I wasn't able to watch it myself, the reviews from it were really positive, at least that's what I read, and there was a lot of hype in the circles around the movie itself, and I even think it's an important story to tell within a movie, especially considering a lot of I don't want to like trivialize it, but like the like rise of like recognizing Asian hate and like recognizing like the atrocities against Asian communities. There was actually, I think, a massacre yesterday in Atlanta with like eight or six Asian women who were like murdered. So I think like it's like weirdly pertinent, especially that movie, and like looking at like the Asian American experience. So I'm personally advocating for that one, but granted, I haven't watched any of the others and really like done research upon them or in them. No, on them. But I don't know. That's just my thought. And also it's A24, so you know it's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with A24 that I feel is where a lot of their issues come from in their films is marketing. So, not that they don't do enough marketing. I think A24 does plenty of marketing. But with, I mean, we might have seen it with Minari, I'm not sure, but with movies like, you know, mid-90s or, what's the name of that movie? Not Midsummer, the other one. With movies like mid-90s or Hereditary, you know, these marketing packages are coming out and they're saying, you know, that the movie is a specific way and this is what happens in the movie, and then you go back to it and the movie is completely different. I think Ready or Not may have also been an A24.
I can't remember.
Or Blumhouse.
It was the one with Robert Pattinson, right?
No.
That was an A24 if I'm not mistaken.
Was it?
Yeah.
There was something that came out this year that was completely marketed wrong.
Oh, Good Time. Good Time was the A24 one with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I think Ready or Not was A24. But if not, correct me in the comments, but I believe, you know, Ready or Not was not marketed well in that it's a comedy above being a horror movie, and it was marketed as a horror movie.
Yeah.
And then with Hereditary, you sort of get this, from the trailer at least, I got this vibe that it was about a messed up little girl who's like into the occult. And then when you watch the film, it's like a completely different film. And so
absolutely.
what A24 is doing in their marketing isn't good, because you're turning away viewers for the sake of not giving away your movies by falsely marketing what they're about. So I hadn't watched Hereditary until Molly told me to for my Halloween piece, specifically because the trailer did not look enticing to me, but that was nothing near what the movie was about. And so you can't sort of compare A24's trailers to their movies. But then that begs the question, if this A24 trailer looks really good, am I going to be disappointed when I sit down in the theater?
So I think a drum roll is in order, but we'll do a metaphorical one. So the Grammys did occur. They did come, and then they went. Do I need to read
No, please, let's please just leave it in. Baron, leave that in and leave my ridiculous laugh in after that. That was so good. They did come, and then they went.
So we'll go over some of the winners, some of the losers maybe. So winner of Record of the Year, Miss Billie Eilish was Everything I Wanted.
Eilish?
Eyelash. That's
Okay.
how you pronounce her last name.
Right?
Which honestly, you know, I'm really proud of her. I think she's doing the damn thing. I don't know if you've watched the documentary, but I have watched the trailer, and I feel educated enough to say that I think she's a little baddie. Just kidding. Baron cut that. Honestly, I wanted to talk shit about her, but I was like, I can't. Because she still sleeps with her parents. And I was like, I fucking hate this girl. And she's like, I feel bad for making fun of her, but she's like scared of like monsters under the bed, and she sees a bunch of yes.
It's because Phineas is fucking abusing her. That's my theory.
Really?
Phineas is like going into her room at night and like fucking like beating her or something.
Yeah, I don't know. She's kind of fucked.
Phineas's girlfriend looks exactly like her. It's
I
crazy.
didn't know that.
Like, I honestly think he's in love with his sister.
Probably. Girlfriend Claudia. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of her, whatever. You know, looking upon the other songs, I have no opinion on all of the other songs that were the forerunners. This one I am most pleased about, and that is Album of the Year with Miss Taylor Swift and her album Folklore. Obviously, give a shout out to Jack Antoff and Aaron Desner, who worked very closely with her on this album. They were the producers and also engineers, mixers, blah, 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 blah. But I personally love Jack Antoff and his work with Fun and then his solo career Bleachers. He also, why am I saying this? He also works a lot with Lorde and someone else who I'm not remembering in this moment. It might just be them too. Actually, how funny, St. Vincent. Yeah, exactly. So I personally love him. I'm so proud of her for that. That album slaps. And she released it in a really, vital time, peak quarantine, and we all just need a little traipse through the forest, which is the general feel and vibe of the music produced in that album. I do have to, how do you say talk shit, but in a nice way? Spit the... I know the phrases.
Spit the poop.
Spit the poop. I have to spit the poop here. Coldplay being nominated with Everyday Life, I can't agree with that. Personally, I am a Coldplay lover. I've loved them since middle school. But, I think their time has died, and I really want Chris Martin to personally hear this coming out of my mouth, that I think you should stop. So personally, I am not appeased with the fact that they were nominated, because it just made me remember that they're still going, when I think they should have stopped after Viva La Vida and Death of All His Friends, personally. Next up, Song of the Year is I Can't Breathe, with Ernst Emil II, Her, and Tiara Thomas. Personally, I do not listen to any of these individuals, but I am positive it's a wonderful track because it won Song of the Year.
I just listened to it, and I don't listen to Her either. I honestly thought Her was a rap artist. She's not. It's an R&B and soul song. I thought it was well done. I liked the tone of, I didn't like the tone of it. I liked how it felt, the music was very good, but I feel like the tone was a little bit confusing in the way that R&B is sort of, I don't know, associated with a romantic type of deal, and conversely you're saying, things about injustices to people of color. So I thought it was an odd mix, but I understand how it won.
And to round it off, Best New Artist, Megan Thee Stallion. I gotta say I kind of do agree, though I am pissed that me and Elton John are both pissed that Miss Phoebe Bridgers did not win this nomination. Personally, I could kick a cow. But yeah, that was the Grammys. Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, that was the Grammys.
That was the Grammys, and I just feel like goes to show you that music is produced, it is listened to, and it's good. And what more could you ask for? Yeah,
in terms of the Grammys, I think it was interesting this year that we moved out of, the Billie Eilish, moment of muted music where everybody is just sort of mumbling into the microphone and you can't really hear. I think that's sort of going back to what I'm listening to. That's sort of why I appreciated The Drug in Me is Reimagined, because you're going from Billie Eilish, where you have to turn your volume up to hear her underneath her track, whereas you're going to Ronnie Radke, I keep saying his name, you're going to Ronnie Radke, who's really opening up, his vocal cords and really expressing himself through his music in a way that I can't really feel from Billie Eilish. And I think it's just expressions of sort of the same emotion, but still, I think it was just refreshing to find it, even though it's older music, to find an artist that I was like, okay, you're expressing yourself through sound that I can hear. Mm-hmm. Because I think Billie Eilish is fantastic, and I do listen to her stuff, but she's started this era or moment in our musical history of muted music, where Billie Eilish came out, and now every TikTok girl is singing very quietly and whispering, and they're like, this is music now, and it's no, I just can't hear you, and you can't actually sing, but you sound great because you're whispering in your shower. Mm-hmm. So it's just hard to sort of quantify that taste and talent level.
Yeah.
when I think Billie Eilish can sing if she would, open her vocal cords.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that other artists that are up and coming are just sort of mimicking Billie Eilish and getting away with it.
Okay. I did forget an important thing about Miss Grammy, and that is that Blue Ivy is the second youngest individual to win a Grammy. She is 9 years old, and the record to beat is, of course, Leah Peasel, who won it when she was 8 years old at the 2001 Grammys for her contributions to Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
You know what? They can beat the youngest artist because Beyonce just had Red Fern and Yellow Vine, right? The other two kids, the twins.
Oh, she had kids? More kids? That's right, she did.
Yeah, I think she had more kids. So those kids, they can, be in a music video at 5. And
exactly.
You know what? No one's ever going to beat them.
No.
Till Kat Von D's baby starts doing music videos.
Cool.
Another thing I will say about artists is Taylor Swift. I didn't like Folklore and Evermore. I know, sorry guys. But I think Taylor Swift is the most consistently present artist of our generation. Like, for the past few years, even if there's a year where she doesn't have any music come out, her music from the year before is still, like, permeating radio waves, and there's not ever a time when I'm like, I have no idea what Taylor Swift is doing, because we have that sort of constant flow of songs from her in the way that we had it from, like, Britney Spears and other artists. And then something that also I noticed when I was sort of reflecting on how much I hear Taylor Swift constantly, Katy Perry and Jason Derulo also constantly have things happening. And I know Jason Derulo, like, 5 people just got whiplash, but think about, like, the spacing of their music and how often they're just, like, having hit songs that we aren't really thinking about and just, like, bopping along to. It's just insane. Like, I'd hate to say, like, Michael Jackson, because nothing compares to Michael Jackson, but I think that especially Taylor Swift is sort of at this level where it's like she's become one with our sort of generation of music.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and the way that, like, Britney represents, the 90s and early 2000s, or Eminem represents that era, and things like that.
No, she's a timeless artist. Well, I wouldn't say timeless. I think she will eventually become timeless, but I think she's very much on track to, like, setting a legacy if she hasn't already not done that while still being young, 30 or something. So
yeah.
I've always been impressed by her career, and I think the longest time she's gone without releasing an album is 3 years.
Yeah.
So.
And even then, I feel like during that time, that was either early in her career or we were still singing "We Will Never Ever Ever Get Back Together."
Oh, I think it was that. If I remember, because I just looked, but I think it was, like, from 2014 to 2017. No, actually, it was to 1989, and then it was to Reputation. That was her longest.
Oh.
But that makes sense, considering, like, I don't want to say, like, the trauma per se, but, like, what she was personally going through when she was, like, making that album and, like, releasing all that, like, anger towards, like, the industry.
But even then, like, there was still, I felt like she was still in the popular view during that time. Like, she never faded.
No, I mean, I agree completely. She was always there. I remember when Blank Space came out and everyone was, like, raving about the music video. I was one of them. But yeah, no. Style, I think I still hear Style on the radio today. So, absolutely.
Oh, God. Let's see.
Make it last forever. No, I'm singing Blue Ivy by that lady.
Oh, by that lady? By Miss Lady?
By Miss Beyonce.
I was gonna say something else. Oh, it was about canceling Eminem. Never mind. I don't want to talk about Eminem.
Canceling Eminem.
No, like, I've seen this, like, the younger generation than us, the one, like, right after us that wasn't exposed to Eminem in 2009, is like, oh my god, this guy's crazy. I'm like, girl, like, just leave it. He's already done it. He's off the crack now. He's fine. Like,
he's off the crack.
Like, I don't even know. There are, like, clips going out of his songs that are like, oh, we need to cancel Eminem because he said, like, I drank a fifth of vodka, dare me to drive, or something like that.
Wait, what?
And, yeah, that's in stan, and then...
No, I'm just surprised people would use that.
No, but I'm just saying,
know.
like, people are saying you need to cancel Eminem, and then they're picking, like, these very tame parts of his songs. And he's got, like, this whole bit in one of his songs where he's like, Hillary Duff's not old enough, but in a year, like...
Really?
And I'm like, you... First of all, that's just how Eminem is. Like, his music, I feel like, maybe he doesn't believe this, but his music is sort of a societal commentary on, like, what's okay and passable. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, the song with the Hillary Duff part is about, you know, underage. I said I wasn't going to get into Eminem, but it's about, like, taking advantage of underage women and objectifying women. And I'm like, okay, I get that. And he's singing it in a very offensive way, to say the rapping it in a very offensive way, to say the least. But I think that there's something to be said there about, like, what he's done, where it's like, you can't really cancel him. Like, we didn't cancel Michael Jackson, and so yeah, I don't know, it's weird.
It's a weird space.
All right, we can do lightning round if you want, Darnell.
Well, I have Azalea Banks and Ryder Rips.
Oh, yes, Azalea Banks. How could I forget? I've never heard of her.
So, Azalea Banks, a New York girl. She pops onto the scene, I don't really remember when, but she's a female rapper, and she has opinions. She's a Gemini. I want to say she's intense. She's hilarious, and if you just want a huge trip, follow her Instagram and just listen to her stories, watch them. She always comes out of left field with the most absurd opinions. Anyways, so Ryder Rips, music producer, if I'm not mistaken, works with the likes of Grimes, Kanye West, very, I wouldn't say valued in the community, but like very much in the music community. So they start having a fling. And this fling then develops into a marriage after like a week's worth. Azalea, of course, is being crazy on the Instagram stories and talking about how she's Jewish now because Ryder Rips is Jewish. And so etc. They move to Miami, the whole 9 yards.
Right, so, as one does. You move to Miami, and then you have your 5 kids and 2 dogs, and that's life.
And you live a happy life. So everyone's like, okay, whatever, and she's going strong with this. And then, if I'm not mistaken, last Sunday, or rather recently, it goes to shit. She's getting a divorce. She's posting
Who could
these...
have predicted this?
Exactly. After maybe no more than like a month of this occurring. Not even, maybe 2 weeks.
Their Miami house just wasn't good enough for her.
I also think she was over LA. I know way too much about her, but she was over LA and she was tired of it because she just... I don't know if necessarily she felt it was fake, but I think she was honestly over COVID, and she was just like, if I come to Florida, COVID is minimal in the eyes of the state. So she moved to Miami. She had a place today, moved in with Ryder Rips. And then she's releasing these like Twitter posts, not a Twitter post per se, but like Instagram stories where she's like, he like recorded me, without like my knowledge. Also he has like all this dirt on like Grimes and Kanye West saying like whack things. And so he gathers this dirt on people and then like holds it, and then like if people don't behave to him in a particular way, like he has this like this blackmail, not ammunition, but plainly blackmail against people.
Wow.
And so Azalea is like in this position where she's like trying to like calm him down and like be like, no, like you should not like just expose Kanye West or like Grimes or like etc. Like they trust you. Like if you do that, you're gonna like ruin some people's lives and like lose your career. And of course he's like, no offense, he's going crazy because it's kind of crazy. And so yeah, the situation turned like really bad for her. They did, which I will note, which I think is like pretty iconic. They did sell a audio, like I don't want to say mixtape, a vinyl pressing of their sex tape as an NFT. And it is like, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to look it up real quick. It is the 6th highest selling conceptual art piece.
Wow.
100,
wow.
100%. Sold for like millions.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I will say, Grimes, you know what? Grimes got blackmailed to name her baby X whatever XXX Tentacion. She got blackmailed.
It's Kyle, and that's what
It's Kyle. Yeah, it's this guy. He's blackmailed her to name her baby that so that their children won't be competition in school, and that his kid can bully XXXYZ.
Mm-hmm. So. It was for over $260 million.
Who had the money to pay for this?
Oh, it's being sold for that. So it wasn't I guess it wasn't originally sold for that, but
okay.
Yeah. But still,
there's some black market art dealer that's like, wow, how perfect! I can get Azalea Banks's sex tape pressed in vinyl.
Okay, so it was originally sold for $1,700.
Oh, wow. And then they found out who it was?
Yeah, because it was released under an anonymous name of Rolton Fighter. And so, now knowing who it is, it has more value.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so...
Hulk Hogan should do that. Sorry.
What did you say?
I said Hulk Hogan should do that.
But yeah, I think that's pretty wild. So yeah, it turned super sinister. He became very toxic. She left the situation. But yeah, I just thought that was like super crazy. And I think a lot of people perceive Azalea Banks in this like super negative light. And granted, she has like some really off the wall opinions. She's definitely body shamed people in the past, which is like totally like unfair, obviously. But at the same time, it's like she was like really in a crisis mode, and I feel like that always. I mean, for me personally, like, resets me, and it's kind of like, whoa, like, we need to have, like, empathy in all situations, despite, like, I guess, offenses. Though we should still take them into consideration, but it's always something that I, like, I don't know, recenters me, as I said earlier. Something to consider, and she didn't eat her cat, so...
Jesus, who ate their cat?
So, that was another thing, I just love it, the Azalea Banks Show, this is what it's called.
Did he eat his cat?
No. So she had this cat that she had for like 13 years. I mean, I was thinking like a very, very long time. Yeah. I'm not getting the time right. And it died during quarantine. I think it was kidney issues, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be totally wrong. And so obviously she's distraught. She got this cat when she was like 21 or something in New York, like etc, like very much like home for her because she was living in LA at the time. And the cat died, and so she was going to, not taxidermy it, but, like, keep its skull.
Oh, why?
No, Sophie! She's gonna keep the skull and bedazzle it and, like, hang it on her wall. No!
I'm not gonna say anything.
But if you think about it, and she made the very fair point, like, people, like, hunters, will like put elk and like deer heads on their walls, and she's like, what's the difference? I'm putting my pet, and like you bury pets. It was just like a way to preserve the memory of that cat for her, and I totally got it and respected it. And so, but she decided to do the process herself.
No, she did not.
Yes, and so that's where the cat thing came up, because you have to boil, it's like the same process of taxidermy, so you have to boil the body to like, I guess, I don't know if it's to like weaken the skin or like to get the like, to like remove it.
Imagine going to your vet.
Or no, it's to disinfect it, actually.
Yeah,
anyways.
You go to your vet and you're like, no, I'll take the body. And they're like, are you sure we can cremate it? And she's like, no, I'm going to bedazzle its skull and hang it above my fireplace. And the vet has to be like, yeah, okay.
But so she posted a picture of her boiling her cat, and everyone was like...
She posted a picture?
I told you she's crazy! But I love her. She's not crazy. Yes, but she posted a picture on her Instagram story, and people were like, you were eating your cat. You crazy. You're eating your cat.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So people don't like her, but I think she's
That's insane.
Really.
Okay. I think we can do lightning round.
I think we concluded excellently.
Yeah, so like Azalea Banks boiled her cat. Hey Slim, I drank a fifth of vodka. Dare me to drive? Have you listened to Stand by Eminem recently?
I just can't say I have.
I think you should. It's very good. So now we'll get into our Crow's Cast lightning round, in which Darnell and I will ask each other a question and try to answer with as much detail but as quickly as possible. Quickly being without thought at the moment we say the answer. So I'll go ahead and start. My question is, you are a casting director for the newest buddy cop movie. Which two actors are you casting as your main stars?
Okay. So I did need to look up buddy cop, but now that I have, I think I will formulate an excellent question. Answer. Okay. Damn, that's a good one.
Is it James Franco? Because you want him to ruin the movie?
Okay, no, I have it.
Okay.
My two answers are James Franco, because that was freaking perfect, and Azealia Banks. They would be perfect for each other, and I'll explain why. Because Azealia is she's gonna cut through the shit, and Franco, I feel he gets way too invested in everything he does that it comes off insincere. So I think it would just be absolutely grand to watch as they just like putsy around and like conflict. And I don't know, I just feel like that would be a hilarious movie. But you would be so confused if it was intended to be funny, because James Franco, I genuinely feel he would be so serious the entire time. But Azealia would be like, fuck this shit, what the hell are you talking about? The entire time. So yeah, I think that would be a great pairing.
Okay.
And then we would obviously have this sidekick being, the dead cat remains.
Right. Maybe they're transporting this cat's remains. Maybe James Franco's the vet. But Azealia, takes him hostage, and he's like, no, she's like, no, you're gonna help me boil my cat.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, okay, and the whole movie, takes place on the drive back to Azalea's house, but, a bunch of crap goes down.
Yeah. 100%. I think this would be great. I actually need this to happen.
Right. Now that we've talked about it, it has to materialize.
100%.
A24.
A24, I am applying for your director position, actually, and I have a proposition.
Alright, I think for my buddy cop, I want a serious guy, funny guy sort of thing. So my serious guy is Michael Fassbender, just because I feel like I haven't seen him in a while and I really miss him. Who's my funny guy? Oh, TJ Miller. Who is in Deadpool, he was Weasel. And he was Paul in Underwater. And I think those two people are so different, and they would have absolutely no chemistry, that they just make this, absolutely awkward piece of garbage film. And I think maybe we go the Stuber route, where TJ Miller's, a quirky Uber driver. No, we're going the other way. Michael Fassbender is a very serious Uber driver, and TJ Miller's character orders an Uber, but Michael Fassbender, takes a wrong turn, and they get caught in some, Russian arms deal.
Oh, of course.
And, yeah, and they're, witnesses, and they spend the night running from the Russian mafia. Of course, played by Peter Dinklage, so he can reprise his role from I Care a Lot. All right, what's your question, Darnell? Ooh, you could do which two artists should collab on a song, but I don't know.
No. I kind of want to do something where it's if you were to hand out an award, if you were a Grammy, I don't know, on the board of the Grammys, and you could make your own award and give it to someone, what would the award be, and who would you give it to?
I think I would give it to, best resurgence, sort of, or, best, a song that came back.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know who I would give it to, though. I feel like Britney's having a comeback this year, so maybe I'd give, the best resurgence award to Britney Spears for...
100.
Oh, God, what's the most recent song I heard of hers?
Bring the action.
No, that. I think I would give it to Britney Spears for Baby One More Time.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I could agree with that. I think if I were to hand out an award, it'd be
Most train wreck.
it would be who I think should be my best friend. That would be my award.
Perfect. The Darnell Henderson Award.
Yeah, and the award would go to... I'm stuck. There are just so many icons in the industry. I don't know. I would have to say Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
I love her, but I love her, and I love her. I think she's cool. And I think I could also meet Jack Antoff, and I would love to meet him. So yeah, that's my award. Who's Darnell's next best friend?
Who's Darnell's next best friend? Each year you pick a new one and you're like, you're coming up on the last month of our friendship.
That's literally terms and conditions to it.
Get this open. So now we get into our upcoming releases section of the podcast where we talk about what movies are coming out this year. Not true. Where we talk about what... where we talk about what's in the pipeline for movies, TV, and music. With the pandemic, of course, this is all subject to change, especially movie release dates. I know they're still pushing around Black Widow a little bit, even though it's coming out pretty soon. So just take all of this with a grain of salt, I guess. So the week of March 26th, it looks like we are getting Nobody, a film about a bystander who intervenes to help a woman being harassed by a group of men becoming the target of a vengeful drug lord. This is sort of based off the John Wick series, but it stars a random man, from what I understand. Week after that, we get our big release with Godzilla vs. Kong. CMX Countryside is set to get that on March 31st. IMDb is reporting it for April 2nd, so we'll see. It's all up to the studio. But Godzilla vs. Kong will pit Godzilla, King of the Monsters, versus Kong from Kong Skull Island against each other, with humanity caught in the balance of the fight. And that will have Millie Bobby Brown returning in her role, and it looks like it also stars Alexander Skarsgård, the Skarsgård brother that is not Pennywise from It. Later in April, we have Mortal Kombat coming out, starring Louis Tan and Jessica McNamee, and that is based on the game series of the same name. I'm not going to describe Mortal Kombat. If you don't know what it is, you don't need to know. It's not for you. All right. On March 19th, we are getting the first episode of Disney Plus's series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is super exciting. That'll focus on Sam Wilson, who is the Falcon in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and his transition into taking up the mantle of Captain America, as well as the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, on their, I guess we're returning to buddy cops, but on their buddy cop montage facing Baron Zemo, returning from his role in Captain America Civil War. It looks like we have Justin Bieber coming out with an album called Justice on the 19th of March. Whoa! Oh my god, no way. Okay. Evanescence looks like they have an album coming out on the 26th of March called The Bitter Truth. I'll be interested to see what's on there.
Oh, how could I forget? Oh my gosh, and this is going to be in 2 days. Lana Del Rey releasing Chemtrails Over the Country Club, expected to be released March 19th.
Wow. We also have Fearless, Taylor's version, coming out on the 9th of April. And what is next? We have another album from The Offspring, Let the Bad Times Roll. And finally, Paul McCartney on the 16th of April will have McCartney 3, Imagined, coming out. So that wraps up our upcoming releases. We thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Crow's Cast, and we hope to see you next week with our next episode. Have a good one, you guys.
Bye.
Do you want to be more enthusiastic?
I didn't know if I had to say anything or not. That's why I was like, bye. I'll see you later. We'll see you later. This is goodbye, but it's really a hello too.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when we come back next week.